The morning my entire future got traded for a wedding dress started with the smell of slightly burnt toast and Mom's voice way too bright for 7:30. My name is Arden. I was 18 and exactly 1 week before I was supposed to move into my dorm at the University of Utah. My parents sat me down at the kitchen table like it was any other Saturday. Dad cleared his throat. "We've decided to give your college fund to your sister," he said, calm as ordering coffee. "Delaney's wedding and the new house with Brody. It's a once-in-a-lifetime thing. You'll figure something else out. You always do." $38,000. Gone. Every dollar I'd watched them put away since I was in diapers, every shift I worked at the gear shop, every scholarship I'd earned just handed over for flower arches and a down payment in Draper. Mom reached for my hand. "Sweetie, this is what family does. We support each other's dreams." I remember staring at the crumbs on my plate and feeling something inside me click off, quiet, permanent, final. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just nodded, stood up, walked upstairs, and started packing the duffel I'd already hidden under my bed. By 4 that afternoon, I was gone. If you've ever had the people who were supposed to have your back pull the rug out from under you right when you needed them, most drop your story in the comments. City, state. No names if you don't want. Just let me know I'm not the only one. Let's talk. I dragged my suitcase into room 412 at Gateway Heights, the fresh paint smell hitting me like a slap. The dorm was tiny, 2 beds, 2 desks, 1 window facing the parking lot. My new roommate was already there, headphones on, sketching on a huge Wacom. She looked up, pulled one side off her ear. "You must be Arden." "I'm Legacy." She stuck out her hand like we were closing a business deal. Half Vietnamese, born and raised in West Valley, senior graphic design major, zero filter. Within 10 minutes, she knew my whole story. I didn't plan on telling her, it just spilled out while we unpacked. The first 3 months were brutal. Classes started at 8. My freelance inbox stayed empty, and every cent I'd saved from the gear shop job went to tuition I now owed myself. I ate 99-cent ramen so often I started craving the cardboard flavor. Clients ghosted. One guy paid half for a logo, then vanished. Another canceled a full ski resort rebrand 2 days before deadline. I pulled all-nighters in the library basement because the dorm lights shut off at 2. Legacy would find me asleep on my keyboard, drool on the trackpad, and just slide a coffee next to me without a word. I kept my portfolio alive with anything that paid: trail maps for local outfitters, stickers for indie ski shops, Instagram posts for guides who couldn't shoot straight. $400 some months if I was lucky. I learned to stretch grocery money like it was a design grid. Meanwhile, the rest of the world moved on without me. I'd blocked Mom, Dad, and Delaney the second I left, but Valor still had me on her private story. That's how I saw it all. Dad grinning in front of a glossy brochure, non-refundable deposit secured at Montage, Deer Valley. 50 grand down. Mom holding Delaney's hand up to the camera, 3-carat diamond flashing under ring light. She said yes to forever. Delaney in a fitting room. Veil longer than my future caption. Living my dream. Thank you, Mom and Dad, for making it possible. Every post felt like a paper cut. I'd hate myself for refreshing, then open Photoshop and work until my eyes burned. Legacy caught me staring at the screen one night, blank expression, cursor blinking. "You know you don't have to torture yourself with their highlight reel, right?" I shrugged. "It's motivation." She snorted. "That's one word for it." By the end of fall semester, I had exactly one thing going for me: photos. I'd spent every free weekend hiking the Wasatch, shooting sunrise from hidden ridges, golden light spilling over red rock and fresh powder. I edited them the way I wished my life looked: clean, sharp, expensive. One night, half delirious at 3 a.m., I packaged 20 of those edits into a Lightroom preset pack and listed it on a tiny creative marketplace for $25. First week, 11 sales. Second week, 43. Third week, I woke up to a PayPal notification that made me drop my phone. 212 downloads overnight. Some outdoor page with 500,000 followers had used my Wasatch Golden preset and tagged me. Messages flooded in. Photographers, influencers, brands I'd dreamed of working with when I was 15. I didn't celebrate. I just bought real groceries for the first time in months and opened a new Figma file. The hustle wasn't over. It was finally starting. The heavy gold embossed envelope showed up in my dorm mailbox the week finals ended. Montage Deer Valley 300 guests black tie late summer sunset ceremony. A separate card inside listed the gift registry, everything from a $7,500 espresso machine to a down payment on a house in Draper. I tossed the invitation straight into the recycling bin without RSVPing. I never met Brody in person more than twice, but the red flags had been screaming for months. He rolled up to family barbecues in a different leased Lamborghini every time, always just returned the last one. He bragged about flipping properties in Vegas, but when I Googled his name, nothing came up except unpaid parking tickets. Once at a graduation party for Valor, he cornered Dad in the garage and asked to borrow $10,000 for a sure-thing condo deal that closed next week. Dad wrote the check the same night. The wedding itself was exactly what $50,000 deposits buy in Park City. Ice sculptures, string quartet flying in from Denver Delaney in a dress that probably cost more than my first year of tuition. Legacy and I watched the live stream one of the cousins accidentally posted to a public story. My former bedroom had been converted into a bridal suite, overflowing with white roses. Mom kept zooming in on the ring every chance she got. 31 days later, my phone started blowing up. Valor sent the first message at 6 a.m, call me ASAP. It's bad, I was editing photos on the floor of the dorm, coffee long cold. I called. Delaney had come home early from a girls' trip Brody supposedly planned as a surprise. Found him on the couch with a woman who turned out to be the mother of his 4-year-old son in Nevada. Bank statements were scattered across the kitchen island, $42,000 in cash advances to casinos, another $38,000 wired to an account in Henderson. The honeymoon fund, the furniture budget, half the wedding gifts that had been returned for cash, all gone. Delaney filed the day she kicked him out. Utah doesn't make you wait if there's no kids and no real shared property. Papers signed, judge-stamped marriage over before the thank you cards were even mailed. Valor kept the updates coming whether I asked or not. Delaney hasn't left her room in a week. Mom had to cancel the country club membership. Brody's already in Arizona. New girlfriend posted pics from Sedona. I read every text, then put the phone face down and went back to my laptop. That same week, my Wasatch Golden preset pack crossed 100 sales for the first time. Complete strangers in Norway, New Zealand, Chile were using my edits on mountains I'd never seen. A small outdoor brand in Boulder paid me $3,000 to rebrand their entire spring line, biggest check I'd ever received. I bought Legacy dinner at a real restaurant, no ramen involved, and paid rent 2 months in advance. I didn't reply to a single message from the family group chat that suddenly remembered I existed. I didn't send condolences. I didn't say I told you so. I just kept shooting ridgelines at 5 a.m., kept tweaking curves and hues until the light looked like money, and watched the numbers climb. My phone buzzed at 2:17 a.m. Mom's name lighting up the screen for the first time in 11 months. I let it ring until voicemail caught it, then played the message on speaker while Legacy pretended to sleep across the room. Arden, honey, please call us back. Delaney's falling apart. Brody just disappeared. We don't know what to do. We need you. Her voice cracked on the last word. I deleted the message and went back to sleep. By morning, Valor had already filled in the blanks. Brody cleaned out the joint checking account, maxed every credit card Delaney had added him to, and drove south in the leased Range Rover that was now 3 payments behind. He left a note on the kitchen counter. Sorry. Needed a fresh start. Last sighting was St. George, then nothing. Phone off, socials deleted. The real bomb came 10 days later. A thick envelope from Zion's bank arrived at my parents' house in Federal Heights, notice of default on a $450,000 mortgage for the Draper house. Mom and Dad had co-signed so the happy couple could get a better rate. Monthly payment $4,000. Income without Brody $0. First missed payment triggered the letter. Another envelope hit the same week, 12 credit cards in Delaney's name with Brody as authorized user. Total balance $120,000. American Express alone was $38,000 in Vegas cash advances dated the week after the wedding. Mom called again that night. I picked up this time. Arden, the bank, says they'll start foreclosure in 90 days if we don't catch up. Your father's retirement is tied to the house. Please come home, just talk to us. Delaney hasn't eaten in days. I sat on the dorm floor surrounded by proof sheets for a new client. Mom, that money you're trying to save. That was my college fund. Remember, silence. Then a shaky breath. This is different. This is the whole family. I ended the call. 2 days later, I got my monthly payout email from the preset shop. $8,000 after fees highest yet. I screen capped it, stared at the number for a long time, then opened apartments.com instead of calling back. Legacy came with me to see the place, a 1-bedroom in Sugar House, old brick building, huge east windows, 15 minutes from campus. Rent was steep, but I signed the lease the same day. The landlord handed me the keys and said, "Welcome home." I almost laughed at how those words sounded now. I moved in over a long weekend. 1 trip in Legacy's Subaru mattress desk, 2 boxes of clothes, camera gear, and every external drive I owned. No furniture yet, just a folding chair and the smell of possibility. That night, I sat on the empty living room floor eating takeout pad thai and opened another bank alert. A brand I'd cold emailed 3 months earlier, the one that makes those carbon fiber backpacks climbers lose their minds over, had just paid the second half of a $6,000 invoice. I transferred every extra cent into a new high-yield account labeled Never Again. Mom texted a photo the next morning, the dining room table buried under collection notices, Dad's head in his hands. Caption, "We're scared." I left her on red and booked a sunrise shoot on Mount Wire. The light was perfect golden and sharp, exactly like the future I was building, one frame at a time. I drove up the familiar slope to the red brick house in Federal Heights on a gray Sunday afternoon. The lawn looked tired, the BMW gone from the driveway, replaced by Mom's 10-year-old Highlander with a new dent in the fender. Dad opened the door before I knocked. He looked 10 years older, shirt, untucked, eyes red. Inside smelled like burnt coffee and desperation. Delaney sat on the living room couch in the same hoodie she wore the day she got engaged, knees pulled to her chest, mascara streaked down to her chin. Mom hovered with a box of tissues like it was a shield. They didn't hug me. Nobody said welcome home. Dad started first. "Sit down, Arden. We need to talk about the mortgage." I stayed standing. "I'm only here for my old passport. It's in the safe." Mom's voice cracked. "You knew Brody was bad news. Why didn't you warn us?" I looked at Delaney. She wouldn't meet my eyes. "I was 18, I said. You didn't listen to me about anything else. Why would this be different?" Dad rubbed his temples. "Look, we're short 4 payments. The bank's talking foreclosure. If you could just help with— How much do you think I make?" I cut in. Mom tried a weak smile. "Freelancing, right? A few hundred here and there. We're not asking for much, just enough to keep the house until Delaney gets back on her feet." Delaney finally spoke, voice raw. "I'm sorry. Okay, I didn't know he'd do this." I pulled the passport from the safe in Dad's office myself, flipped through the empty pages, slipped it into my back pocket. "That $450,000 loan you co-signed, that $120,000 in credit card debt, that was my college fund you decided was better spent on a wedding and a down payment." Silence thick enough to choke on. Dad tried again. "Family helps family, Arden. That's how it works." I walked toward the door. "You taught me exactly how it works?" I learned. Mom grabbed my sleeve. Stay for dinner at least. Please. I looked at the dining table set for 4, the same table where they told me my future didn't matter as much as Delaney's big day. I already ate, I said, and stepped outside. The front door closed behind me with the softest click. Halfway down the hill, my phone lit up. An email from Peak Pulse Skiwear, the brand every serious skier in North America wears. Subject line: exclusive 6-month branding partnership. Let's talk numbers. I pulled over under a street lamp, opened the attachment, and stared at the offer. 6 figures up front. Creative control. My name on every campaign from Banff to Brighton. I accepted on the spot, right there in the cold car with the engine still running. Then I drove home to the apartment I paid for myself and started designing the future they never thought I'd have. The recording studio downtown buzzed with early morning energy ring lights warming up cold brew on ice. I walked in wearing the same Patagonia fleece I'd shot my first viral campaign in. The producer handed me headphones and a bottle of water. Barrett Holt greeted me with a firm handshake. Tall, calm, the kind of voice that could read a grocery list and still hit 1 million downloads. Host of The Summit, the podcast every female founder in America wanted on her resume. We started rolling. He asked the question everyone asks first. Arden, 21 years old, 50,000 preset downloads, 7-figure deal with Northridge Outdoor on the table. How I leaned into the mic. Simple. I got told my future wasn't worth investing in, so I invested in it myself. I told the whole story without names. The day my college fund vanished overnight for someone else's dream wedding, the ramen months. The first sale at 3 a.m. The campaign for Peak Pulse that blew up when a pro skier used my color grade on a viral powder edit and tagged me. 50,000 downloads in 30 days. Brands sliding into DMs instead of the other way around. 2 hours flew. Barrett never interrupted once. When we wrapped, he pulled off his headphones. That episode is going to break the internet. Also, I want in. Let's build an agency together. You handle creative, I'll bring capital and connections. 50-50. I stared at him. You're serious? Dead serious. Northridge just sent over the final contract this morning, 7 figures multi-year. Use the advance as seed money. Wasatch Creative Agency. You in? I didn't sleep that night. I opened Procreate and sketched the logo until sunrise. The episode dropped the following Monday. 2 million listens in the first week. Comments flooded, women sharing their own stories of being told they were Plan B. Brands emailing before I even woke up. Northridge wired the advance the same day, $1,250,000. Biggest check I'd ever seen. Legacy helped me lease a proper office in the Granary District exposed brick mountain views room for a real team. We hired 3 junior designers and a project manager in the first month. Barrett flew in from Denver every other week. We built mood boards, pitched Fortune 500 outdoor companies, turned down more offers than we accepted. The agency valuation hit 8 figures before we celebrated our first anniversary. My phone exploded with notifications I never thought I'd see. Old high school friends congratulating me. Clients I'd once begged for $500 now offering 20 times that. And somewhere in the noise, a text from an unknown number. We heard the podcast. We're so proud. Can we talk? Mom, I archived the thread without replying. Wasatch Creative became the name every adventure brand wanted on their roster. I stopped counting downloads and started counting billboards with my work on I-80. Barrett and I stood on the new office balcony one evening, Salt Lake lights flickering below. You built this? He said. No, I answered. They tried to bury me. I just used the dirt to climb higher. The smell of turkey and mashed potatoes drifted through the house that late November afternoon. I hadn't crossed the threshold in 2 years and 4 months. Barrett drove. Legacy rode shotgun. 2 of our lead designers followed in the second car. We parked behind a row of unfamiliar sedans. The BMW and the Highlander were long gone. Mom opened the door in an apron, eyes wide, mouth open, but no sound coming out. Dad stood frozen behind her, holding a carving knife. Delaney hovered near the dining room archway, thinner hair dyed a cheap drugstore blonde. Nobody spoke. Barrett stepped forward, first, all 6'4" of him, easy smile. Happy Thanksgiving. Arden said we were invited. I walked in carrying a rolled-up vinyl backdrop under one arm. My team followed with ring lights and a camera bag. The dining room still had the same faded Give Thanks banner from when I was 12. Extended family, aunts, uncles, Valor, a dozen cousins sat around the extended table staring like we'd landed from another planet. Mom finally found her voice. Arden, you brought guests. Colleagues, I said. We're shooting the holiday card for the agency. Dad set the knife down. Agency. I unrolled the backdrop across the far wall, the one that used to hold family portraits. 8 feet wide, matte black, centered in crisp white wasatch. Creative, series a closed, $8,000. Gasps rippled around the table. Barrett shook Dad's hand like they were at a gala. Pleasure to meet Arden's family. She's the best creative director on the continent. We just closed our Series A yesterday. Thought today would be the perfect time to announce it properly. Phones came out. Cameras clicked. Someone whispered, $8 million. Delaney took a shaky step forward. Arden, can we talk? I'm so sorry. I never meant for I raised a palm. Calm, final. You got the dream wedding, the house, the ring, the life everyone was supposed to pay for. I looked at Mom, then Dad, then the rest of the room. I got the bill, and I paid it myself. Every cent. Then I turned it into this. I gestured to the backdrop, to Barrett, to my team already setting up lights. Mom's eyes filled. We didn't know it would turn out like this. You didn't care how it turned out for me? I said. That's the difference. Dad tried. We're still family. I met his gaze. Family doesn't trade one child's future for another's party. Family doesn't co-sign $500,000 because they want to look rich to their friends. Family doesn't wait until they need bailout money to remember the kid they threw away. Silence, thick enough to carve. I turned to my team. Let's get the shot. We posed in front of the backdrop, Barrett's arm around my shoulders, the designers laughing like we did this every day. 10 seconds, 1 click. Done. I rolled the vinyl back up. Delaney whispered, "Please stay." I walked to the door, paused just long enough to say the only sentence I owed them. You taught me exactly how much I was worth to you. I just raised my price. The door closed behind us. Barrett didn't ask questions until we were halfway down the hill. You okay? I watched the house shrink in the rearview mirror. Better than okay, I said. That was the last time. The last time I drove past the old neighborhood was an April morning, snow melting off the roofs in dirty rivers. I was on my way to the airport, Denver, bound for good. The red brick house looked smaller than I remembered. A bright orange foreclosure sign hammered into the front lawn screamed auction. 30 days. A moving truck sat half-loaded in the driveway, boxes labeled Kitchen and Gerald, Office. Mom's Highlander was gone. A dented Corolla with expired tags took its place. I slowed just enough to see Dad carrying a cardboard box to the truck shoulders, hunched under a coat 2 sizes too big. Mom followed with a single suitcase. No furniture left inside, just echoes. Valor had sent one final update the week before. Delaney works full-time now at a little nail salon on State Street in South Salt Lake, the kind with neon open signs and plastic chairs. She does acrylics and pedicures for $20 a set. None of the girls she used to call besties answer her texts anymore. The montage wedding photos are gone from her Instagram. Her profile picture is just a blurry selfie in a black smock. I never replied to Valor's message. I didn't need to see it to know. Wasatch Creative's new headquarters opened in Lodo, Denver, 3 floors of glass and mountain views, 30 employees and growing. Barrett and I signed the lease the same week the Series A wire cleared. I changed my number the day the moving trucks pulled away from Sugar House. No forwarding address. Legacy threw a going-away party on the rooftop. We toasted with champagne that cost more per bottle than my old dorm rent. Someone asked if I ever thought about going back even for a visit. I looked out at the city lights and answered honestly, never. Because some doors aren't meant to be reopened. Some bridges aren't meant to be rebuilt. Some people teach you your worth by showing you exactly how little they were willing to pay for it. So here's the only thing that matters, the lesson I paid for in full. Never be anyone's plan B. Never let them turn your future into their backup plan. Because the second they need you, they'll act like they never threw you away. I built my life on the exact spot they tried to bury me. Every contract, every campaign, every dollar in the bank is proof that when they took everything from me, they actually handed me everything I needed. I don't hate them. I don't wish them harm. I just don't carry them anymore. The house is gone. The family I was born into is gone. The family I chose, Legacy Barrett, the team that believed in me when I had nothing, they're the ones riding with me now. And that's the real ending. If you're out there grinding while the people who were supposed to lift you up keep pulling the ladder away, keep going. Your value is never up for their vote. Build your own table. Set your own price. And never, ever let them sit at it again.